Hi all, I am starting the presentation right now. So, good afternoon everyone. My name is Shreyas. I'm working in HCL Technologies as a machine learning engineer. So, today my topic of presentation is Elmo and Flare embeddings. Almost 2 months back, I had given a presentation on Word2Vec, TF-IDF, as well as GLOVE. So, this will be the continuation of my previous presentation. Today I'll be discussing in brief about how the contextual word embeddings have progressed. Coming to the embeddings, I'll start from first. Why do we need word embeddings? We are here basically converting the words into numbers so that the computer will be able to understand. Here there are two types of embeddings, which are static word embeddings and contextualized word embeddings. So the way the natural language processing has progressed, initially the way we represented the words as numbers, we started with one-hot encoding. Since there were many disadvantages with one-hot encoding, because it could not take into consideration the relation between two words. The next progression was by using statistical methods. The statistical methods were TF-IDF or bag of words. These statistical methods, they considered the frequency of occurrence of each of the words in the particular sentence or the vocabulary. But they were not able to consider the syntax or semantics of the sentence. Therefore, the next progression was by using Word2Vec. In Word2Vec, there were two models. One is a SIBO model and another one is a skipgram model. In SIBO model, it is a single layer neural network. In SIBO model, we will be giving the surrounding words and we will be making the neural network to predict the target word. It is quite opposite in skipgram model. There we would give a target word as the input to the single layer neural network, and from the neural network we'll be predicting the surrounding words. The disadvantages of Word2Vec is it is purely local based. The global context of the word embeddings would be missing over here. That's why we will be using GLOVE. All these are static word embeddings. GLOVE is a global representation of word vectors. So in GLOVE, we would consider the co-occurrence matrix. That means every particular word, for every particular word to give the word embeddings, we will be considering the co-occurrence matrix. Based on the co-occurrence matrix, we will be giving the word embeddings. GLOVE and FastText, Word2Vec, all these were static word embeddings. What is the disadvantages of static word embeddings? In static word embeddings, even though we are representing each and every word in a higher dimensional space, we are not considering the context in which a particular word is being spelled. That is why we are using contextualized word embeddings. So in static word embeddings, each distinct word will get only one pre-computed embedding. But a particular word can have different meanings based on the context it is being spelled. So if we use static word embeddings, then we will be purely missing those things. Irrespective of the context, every word will be getting only one particular embedding. To counter all these defects, we are going to contextualized word embeddings. So in contextualized word embeddings, we have progressed well. Today we'll be discussing about the unsupervised part of the contextualized word embedding, which is the ELMO as well as the FLAIR. Uh, so So these ELMO models, they are pre-trained contextualized word embedding language models. So there are some advanced models than ELMO also, such as BERT and ULM-FIT. So these two models, they can be even fine-tuned for the particular downstream task that we are dealing with. So the downstream task can be anything such as named entity recognition or POS tagging or chunking or the sentiment classification. So based on the downstream task that we are dealing with, we can fine-tune the pre-trained model accordingly. So these are the main families of the embedding models. So as I discussed in the previous slide, here you can see for every particular word in the vocabulary, you will be getting a word embedding. So word to vec and glove, you will be getting only one word embedding for every particular word, irrespective of the context in which it is being spelled. Similarly, these are the contextualized word embeddings. Contextualized word embeddings such as ELMO, ALM-FIT, GPT, BERT, and GPT-2. So as I said before, you will be giving a sequence of words in a particular sentence, and you will be getting the word embeddings for each of those words in a particular sentence. So here you are able to consider the context. So in the further present slides, I will be discussing the architecture of the ELMO and the FLAIR models. There you can clearly see how the context is being taken. So here you can see the context representation of language is a function on the whole text, which assigns a vector representation to each word in the sequence. So these are the differences between the static and dynamic embeddings. So in the static word embeddings, they will generate the same embedding for the same word in different contexts. So the polysemy is not being considered in static embeddings. Whereas in contextualized word embeddings, the aim is to capture the word semantics as well as the syntax. So here the polysemy and the context-dependent nature of words are being considered in the contextualized word embeddings. Similarly, the output of the static embedding is just the word vector for downstream task, but the output of contextualized word embedding is the trained model as well as the word vector. So in BERT, based on the downstream task you are dealing with, the trained model you will fine tune it accordingly. So the word vectors will only capture the semantic meanings of the words, but the long-term dependencies, agreement, negation, and anaphora are not considered either in static or dynamic embeddings. So the word embeddings will incorporate the previous knowledge in the first layer of the model, but depending on the downstream task, you need to train the remaining network. This is similar either in ELMO or FLAIR or BERT, whichever dynamic word embeddings you are using. So here you can clearly see this is a static word embeddings and this is for the dynamic embeddings. Here in the static word embeddings, the entire vocabulary of words, this is unsupervised learning. So entire vocabulary of words is trained, and for every particular word you will be getting an output vector which you can use for the downstream task. So in static embeddings, as I said before, you will be getting only the word vectors. The model is not obtained over here. Whereas in dynamic embeddings, you will get the trained model as well as the word vectors. So based on your use case, you can use either the trained model or the already pre-trained word vectors for the downstream task. So this table here you can see Word2Vec and Glove, they are not context-sensitive embeddings. So the learned representations of Word2Vec and Glove are words. Whereas in Elmo and BERT, Elmo and BERT are context-sensitive embeddings, and the learned representations of Elmo are words, but the learned representations of BERT are subwords. So Elmo is character-based in its input, but the learned representations are at word level. So, as the name says, embeddings from language models. Here, these three are the three main parts which were focused while developing the Elmo models. So, the context, these models are contextual. As I said before, the representation for each word depends on the entire context in which it is being used. And these are deep neural networks. I'll show you the architecture in the further slides. The word representations combine all layers of a deep neural network, and these are character based models. Elmo representations are character based, and since they are character based, they can account for out of vocabulary words as well as misspelled words, which were not clearly taken into account by using static word embeddings. So here you can see Elmo model takes into account both the syntax and semantics of the input sequence, and a context of every word which is based on the text surrounding it. Even those are considered by the Elmo model. So coming to the architecture of the Elmo model. So here you can see the architecture. So this is the input sequence which is having the four words. The cat is happy. So X happy is the input representation of this entire sequence. Suppose X happy is the input representation of the word happy. This is fed into the two-layer LSTM network. So this corresponds to the backward LSTM. This corresponds to the forward LSTM. So these two are two layers of LSTMs. So this is the intermediate network. In the intermediate network, you will be concatenating the input representation as well as the hidden representation of the first LSTM layer. So this concatenation is sent to the second LSTM layer, and the final Elmo embedding for every particular word is a function of hidden representations of both the layers and as well as the input representation of the particular word happy. So I'll be discussing what the formula or how this function will be. So let's look out at the input representation, how we are representing the word happy before sending it to the two-layer LSTM. So the input representation, as you see here in the left side, so every word before sending it to the two-layer LSTM, we do some transformations. So how these transformations will be in Elmo. So in Elmo, we will represent each of these words as characters, and these characters are sent to the convolutional neural network with max pooling. And after convolution neural network with max pooling, we will be sending it to the two-layer highway network. So whatever the output that we get from the two-layer highway network, those are the input representations for every particular word. So these input representations are further sent to the two-layer LSTM in order to get the Elmo embeddings. So I will discuss the initial part of the convolutional neural network in the next slide. So here you can see the word absurdity. Absurdity is represented as characters. Here you can see the length of this matrix is equal to the length of the absurdity. So once you represent this word in characters, you will be concatenating each of these character embeddings, and you will be passing convolutional filters of varying widths on these character embeddings. So each of these filters, they'll be extracting features. So the n-gram characters are the features. So each of the filter will be extracting the features, and the features are sent further to the pooling layer. So the pooling layer, the main important task of the pooling layer is to extract the most important feature that has been recognized by the filter. So suppose there are around 500 filters. Each of the filter will be generating a feature map. So from these feature maps, the max pooling layer will take the most important feature for every particular filter. So the most important feature considered by the max pooling is further sent to the highway network. Highway network acts similar to the memory cell of the LSTM. So whatever the output that we get from the highway network is the input representation of the particular word absurdity. So here you can see the word absurdity's input representation is passed on to this cell. So after this two-layer LSTM, you will be getting the next word, that is. Absurdity is recognized. Here you can see. So based on this input representation, you will be generating the next word in the sequence. So as I said before in the previous slide, here the function f, which takes care of the hidden representation as well as the input representation, is represented with this formula. So here you can see H1k and H2k are the hidden representations and xk is the input representation. So S0, S1 and S2 are the softmax normalized weights. So what is this task? So for any downstream tasks such as sentiment classification or NER or POS tagging, these S0, S1 and S2 values will depend on the downstream task that you are dealing with. So for every particular task, xk, h1k and h2k will be fixed, and you will be training these s0, s1 and s2 parameters once you send into the LSTM network. And gamma k is also a task specific parameter. So coming to flare embeddings, the main difference between Elmo and flare embeddings is the way we represent the input representation. In Elmo, we were giving the input representation to the convolutional neural network, and the output from the highway network was taken as an input representation. But in flare embeddings, the way we do this is quite different. Here you can see each of the character in these words are sent into the character language model, and the input representation is taken out from the forward and backward LSTMs. So I'll explain this in the next slide. So here you can see the input representation for the word Washington has been considered based on the context before the word Washington. So the first and last character states of each word is taken in order to generate the word embedding. So here you can see the red mark. So for the word Washington, the forward LSTM's output, this output is taken and concatenated with the backward LSTM's output at this point. So here you are considering the forward context as well as the backward context. You are concatenating it to obtain the input representation of this particular word Washington. So once you obtain the input representation, you will be feeding this into the forward and backward LSTM to get the particular task that you are dealing with. So in this diagram, you are getting the NER. So based on the downstream task that you are dealing with, you will be getting out the output similar to that. So this is the main difference between Elmo and flare embeddings. So Elmo is the learned representations are in word level, but the input representations, in order to capture the character level features, we are passing it into the CNN as an encoding step. But in flare embeddings, we are not taking the character level features, but here the flare operates by passing sentences as sequences of characters into a character level language model to form word level embeddings. So here every sentence, the sentences are represented as sequences of characters, and for each character you will be passing into the LSTM network and you will be obtaining the input representation. Both Elmo as well as Flare, they will take into account the out of vocabulary words as well as misspelled words. But when compared to Elmo, Flare will perform better on out of vocabulary words as well as the misspelled words. Suppose there is a misspelled word, look. So the correct word is L-O-O-K, and suppose the misspelled word has many number of O's, L and 10 number of O's, and after that K, S. So when to deal with these misspelled words, when character level language model is dealing with these misspelled words, you will be considering most of the important features. These Flare embeddings will be performing better on misspelled words when compared to the character level Elmo embeddings. Because in Elmo embeddings, we will be passing each of the word into CNN. So in CNN, what happens is the n-gram characters are recognized by the filters, and from the max pooling, you will be taking out the important features. So when compared to that, since each and every word is passed here into the character level language model, you will be able to better deal with the misspelled words. So here the words are trained as characters. The embeddings are contextualized by surrounding text. Same word can have different embeddings depending on the context. So here you can see reading a book and please book a train ticket. So here in the first case, in the first sentence, the word book is a noun, whereas in the second sentence, the word book is a verb. So if you use a static embeddings, you will be getting the same word embedding for both of these words. But in contextualized word embeddings, since you can see it is a noun in the first sentence and it is a verb in the second sentence, you will be getting different word embeddings for each of these words. So in Python, we have a Flare library. The Flare library, it can consider many of the state-of-the-art word embeddings, such as GLOVE, BERT, Elmo, and character level embeddings. The most important feature of this Flare library is stacking. We can perform stacking of different word embeddings by using Flare API. So in the stacked embeddings can be used to combine different embeddings together, and the traditional embeddings as well as the contextual string embeddings can be mixed by using the stacking, which is a powerful tool provided by the Flare library. So I'll be discussing further the demo related to both these Elmo and Flare embeddings. So let me open the Jupyter notebook. So here I have considered data sets for sentiment classification. So the data sets are from Amazon reviews and Yelp. So here you can see the sentence and the label and the source from which the sentences and labels are taken. So based on the sentence, we are supposed to predict whether it is a positive review or a negative review. So initially I have used bag of words. So by using bag of words, so here you can see there are totally 750 sentences, and there are 1728 words in the vocabulary. So by using bag of words here, creating a matrix which is of the size 750 by 1728. So by using bag of words, you will be creating a sparse matrix. So the sparse matrix is a data type that is optimized for matrices with only a few non-zero elements, which only keeps track of the non-zero elements, reducing the memory load. Since this is a statistical method, the accuracy that will be obtained by using these methods is very low. So you can see 17150, these number of parameters have to be trained. So here you can observe that there is overfitting that has happened. The training accuracy has reached to 100%, and the validation accuracy is around 82%. So further, I have used. So further, I have used embedding layers. So here I have not used any embedding layers for a bag of words. So the next method that I used is embedding layers. So I have given 50 as the embedding dimension, and I have checked it out. So here you can see the performance. The still you can see the overfitting has happened. The training accuracy is 100%, and the validation accuracy is 75%. So why this has happened? Because here you can see the number of parameters that has to be trained is 87,350, because as I said before, there are 1750 words in the vocabulary, and 50 is the dimension that I have given. Therefore 1750 multiplied by 50 is 87,350. So these many number of parameters has to be trained, and further I have not used any pooling layers. Therefore here you can see in the dense layer there are these many number of parameters, and it is getting down to 11 in the fourth dense layer. So in order to reduce this, I have used global pooling layers after the embedding layer. So the global pooling layers will downsample or reduce the size of incoming features. In max pooling, max value or maximum value of all features in the pool for each feature dimension is considered. So in order to downsample the number of trainable parameters, we are using global max pooling after the embedding layer. So now you can see there were around 50,000 parameters without using the max pooling layer. So after using max pooling layer, it has reduced to 510. So this is similar to 500 neurons in this layer multiplied by 10 neurons in this layer, it will be 500, and the extra 10 is the bias parameters. So totally 500 weights and 10 biases. Similarly here 10 into 1 10 plus 1 bias parameter, so totally 11 trainable parameters in the dense layer. So if we see the performance right now, you can see for the validation it has increased slightly for about 85%. So the next method I have used Flare API. So initially you have to install all these. So initially you have to install the Flare library, and these are the embeddings that you can access from Flare API: word embeddings, character embeddings, stacked embeddings, Flare, BERT, Elmo. All these embeddings can be used. Even Glove can be used by using the Flare API. So by using the constructors, I have initially created these objects, and further I will be using. So here you can see each of the sentence in the input data set I have converted into the tensors, and for every tensor I have used the stacked embeddings, stacked embeddings dot embed sentence. This will convert every sentence into the embeddings which are stacked. So here I have stored the word embeddings for each and every word, and I have stored the sentence embeddings by taking the mean of embeddings of all the words. So for every sentence you will be having the word embeddings. So I have taken the mean of all the word embeddings to get the sentence embedding. So I will show you the example how the sentence embedding looks like. So this is a TSNE plot of a particular data set. So the data set is regarding the requirement of labors for different kind of industries in Europe. So these are some of the sentences. So here you can see each of the sentence is represented in the TSNE plot. So this TSNE plot is generated by taking the average of all the word embeddings in a particular sentence. So here you can see all the sentences in the particular data set has been represented in this chart. So in this model, I have considered Elmo embedding. So here you can see in the stacked embeddings, I have taken the Elmo embedding. So for the Elmo embedding, the embedding dimension is 3072, and I have created the embedding matrix, which is of the size, vocabulary size multiplied with the embedding dimension, which is 3072. So the vocabulary size is 1750. So I have created the embedding matrix, and it is fed into the embedding layer. Further, I have built a bidirectional LSTM. This is a CUDNN LSTM, which works on the GPU. This is almost 20 times faster than the normal LSTM. So I've used a 20% dropout and 40 neurons in the first dense layer and 20 neurons in the second dense layer. So the performance that I have got. So here you can see there are these many number of parameters. Since there are 3072 embedding dimensions for Elmo, 3072 multiplied by 1750, which are the words in the vocabulary, you will be getting these many number of parameters. So these are non-trainable parameters. So therefore you can see here non-trainable parameters as this number, and the trainable parameters are the bidirectional LSTMs. So I have given 120 LSTM cells. Since this is a bidirectional LSTM, you will be having 240 LSTM cells. And I have used global max pooling. Therefore, for every embedding dimension, we will be getting only one value. So here you can see 40 neurons in the dense layer 1 and 20 neurons in the dense layer 2. So this is the performance that was observed by using Elmo embeddings. So I have got around 95% training accuracy and 82% testing accuracy. So coming to the presentation, so when I used a flare as well as glove by stacking the flare embeddings as well as the glove embeddings, this was the performance. Accuracy was 91%. Accuracy was 91% for training and 82% for the validation, and the embedding dimension was 2148. So the flares forward embedding dimension is 1024. Similarly, for flare backward, the embedding dimension is 1024. So combining flare forward as well as backward, you will be getting 2048, and the gloves dimension is 100. So total embedding dimension of flare plus glove is 2148. So when I stacked Flare, Elmo, and BERT embeddings, this was the accuracy that was observed. So the training accuracy is 91%, and the testing accuracy or the validation accuracy is 86%. So as we can see here, by stacking more and more embeddings, we are actually reducing the overfitting. So when we initially saw the bag of words, it was highly overfitted, 100% to 75%. So gradually, when we are taking the word embeddings of higher level models, we are able to reduce this overfitting. Here, the gap has been narrowed very much, 92% versus 86%. And the embedding dimension of this stacked Flare plus Elmo plus BERT is 8192. When you use Elmo alone, the embedding dimension was 3072. But by stacking all these three embeddings, the embedding dimension has increased to 8192. So here you can see 2048 for Flare, 3102 for BERT, and 3042 for Elmo. So these are the performances that I had observed by varying the embeddings. So here you can see when I used only the flare embeddings, forward plus backward, this was the training accuracy 82% to 73%. So further, I used higher level embeddings such as Elmo. After that, I used stacked embeddings. So at the last, we can see here I have got very good accuracy by using Flare, BERT, and Elmo and stacking them together, as I discussed in the previous slide. So I wanted to show you another one. Yeah. So I had taken this example, reading a book and please book a train ticket. As you can see here, the word book in the first sentence is different than the word book in the second sentence. So if I use glove embedding, you will get the same word embedding for both of these words. Here you can see here the word book minus 1.97, and here also it is the same minus 1.97. But if I use contextual word embeddings, so here you can see the contextual word embeddings. I have used Flare. So here you'll be getting different word embeddings for each of these words. Here the word book has different embedding, and here you have different embedding. Here it is -4, here it is -3, and it will be the same. Similarly, it will be different for other dimensions also. So when I use the stacked embeddings for the similar sentence, I'll be getting a much clear representation of the word book. This can be clearly visualized by a TSNE plot, but I have not plotted in this notebook. Here you can see here the book's embedding is different when compared to this book. Yeah, that's all from my side. I'm finishing the presentation. If anyone has some questions, they can ask. Yeah, I have checked even that. Sorry that I have not entered that in this table. Only bird when I considered it was performing similar to Elmo. So here whatever I have got 96% and 82%. For bird it was around 92% versus 84%. There was a bit higher accuracy than Elmo, but when compared to the stacked embeddings, the bird was the stacked embeddings have outperformed the bird. Yes, I can share the notebook. I will send it to you. Any more questions? Yes, I will share the presentation as well as the Jupyter notebook. Actually, I was supposed to do a derivation regarding Elmo and the flare, but since this is a webinar, I was not able to do that, and I was not able to discuss in brief. If possible, I will do another session in the lab. So any more questions? Kind of embeddings that I had used. So wherever the validation loss was increasing, I have considered that particular epoch for the accuracy.